Hey, good evening, everybody. The time is now 7 o'clock. I'd like to call this meeting of the Beloit City Council to order. Madam Clerk, can I get a roll call, please?
We have 5 counselors present, with our 6th counselor present by telephone, and Counselor Keys is absent. We do have a quorum.
Thank you. Next item is Pledge of Allegiance. May we all stand at this time.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This evening, under item 3, special orders of the day and announcements, we have a proclamation recognizing June as LGBTQ Pride Month.
And we'll have Counselor Blakely reading that tonight. You can remain seated if you'd like.
Okay.
Whenever you're ready.
Pardon?
Whenever you're ready.
Oh, okay, certainly. Whereas our community is in the forefront of efforts to establish a caring, compassionate society that is based on the inherent dignity of all its members. And whereas we recognize that a fundamental strength of our community lies in our diversity, and we therefore take an active role in eliminating forms of discrimination and disadvantage. And whereas Pride Month celebrates our diverse sexual and gender identities, histories, cultures, courage, families, and friends. Now, therefore, the City Council of the City of Beloit proclaims the month of June 2021 as LGBTQ Pride Month in the City of Beloit, and encourages citizens to continue to raise awareness about discrimination and other barriers affecting employment, housing, public safety, policing, healthcare, education, and the recognition of family relationships. Presented June 7th, 2021, and signed by Clinton Anderson, Council President.
Thank you.
There is no one present this evening to accept this proclamation, so item 3B is a proclamation declaring Saturday, June 19th, 2021 as Juneteenth Day.
I believe Tracy Dumas is here to accept the proclamation.
I'll go stand by Tracy then.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks for waiting for me. Yes, it's good to see you. You too. Thank you. Whereas President Lincoln issued an Emancipation Proclamation freeing all slaves on January 1st, 1863, and whereas on June 19th, 1865, Major General Robert Granger gained control of Galveston, Texas for the Union, whereupon he proclaimed that all slaves in the state were free. And whereas the anniversary of June 19th has come to be known as Juneteenth, a day for celebrating freedom from slavery and recognizing the African American story of resilience and perseverance. And whereas committed and concerned residents are dedicated to bringing our community together in yearly celebration of the proclamation that all our people are free, and whereas the City of Beloit stands for equality among all people and stands firmly against discrimination, abuse of power, and excessive use of force. Now, therefore, the City Council President of the City of Beloit does hereby proclaim Saturday, June 19th, 2021, as Juneteenth Day in the City of Beloit, encouraging residents to celebrate freedom and honor the end of slavery and emancipation, and remember that all individuals are created equal. Adopted this 7th day of June, 2021, and signed by Clinton Anderson, President of Beloit City Council. And Tracy Dumas is here to accept the proclamation There you are. Congratulations. Would you like to say a couple words?
Yes. On behalf of Rising Queens, we would just like to say thank you to all of you for making this possible, and thank you for the supplies, and hopefully we'll reach many more than 100 kids at the rate we're going. Thank you.
Thank you. And Tracy,
Were you saying something?
yes, before you leave, we do have some school supplies and water we'd like to give to you.
Oh, awesome.
For your event. So if you wouldn't mind us to give that to you right now, that'd be
Sure.
awesome.
Awesome. Okay, thank you.
Okay, sure.
Under item 4, there are no public hearings this evening, bringing us to item 5, public comment.
Okay, we've reached a point in the agenda where members of the public can speak to us about any issues. We will not discuss those issues here, but we may refer a staff member if needed. We ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes and refrain from any personal attacks. So, Madam Clerk, do we have anybody who signed up?
I do not have any written email comments from the public, but in person, I've been handed one public comment sign-up sheet from Johnny Wittenbell of 828 Milwaukee Road. Johnny, if you'd come to the podium and just state your name and address for the record.
Hello, my name is Johnny Whitnable. And my address is 828 Milwaukee Road, Beloit, Wisconsin, 53511.
Go ahead.
Well, thank you for meeting with me and listening to my thoughts, City Council. I could have been here last Thursday, but I'll take my 3 minutes now. I am a music teacher at the Castle in Beloit, but in my spare time, I like to frisbee golf. Frisbee golf is a growing sport that uses frisbees instead of golf balls, but still has the same rules of normal golf. Baskets are used instead of holes in the ground to end the hole and score with. It's a very accessible sport. I see people from young to old, athletic to beginner playing it, and there's a huge growing interest in this sport. Thankfully, Beloit has a pretty great course. I would call it a gem of the state line. Dr. Hilliard Disc Golf Course. There's a playground there too and a pavilion, and it's kept up very well. Anytime there's a problem, it's taken care of right away by the Parks and Recs Division. What I'm here to talk to you all about today is possibly allowing volunteers to come in and even clear it out further to make it an even bigger draw for other frisbee golfers to come and see it. It's a 9-hole course as of right now, but I've talked with Nathan Davison, who was one of the original designers of the course, about improvements that he never got around to, such as cleaning out areas and possibly making a nice sign for beginners, as well as starting up a league there to bring in interest. I would like to say that I and my friends would all be willing to volunteer time to do this kind of thing. So please consider it. The Frisbee Golf Course could bring in a lot of new interest into Beloit from all types of people, and there are volunteers who are willing to help at the course. So thank you.
And it looks like our Public Works Director is writing some stuff down, so hopefully she can reach out to you and talk to you about that in the future.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our second speaker signed up this evening is Tia Johnson, 1621 Indian Road.
Good evening. If I reach 3 minutes, please let me know. I sometimes can go long. Today, Beloiters said goodbye to a dear friend and a beloved leader. Ralph Berkeley was laid to rest today. As I was leaving the funeral, I promised his son that we would continue his work. Ralph was a beloved special education instructor. When I was a substitute teacher at the Beloit School District, he was the administrator I reported to, and I got to know him, and I adored the man. And I could not be prouder to continue his work and do it right now. While we as a nation are at the lowest point of lead problems and health effects, they still continue. Lead, while useful metallurgically, it is toxic to humans in high doses. Lead can cause damage to brain and kidneys, and it can lead to death. Lead can cross the blood-brain barrier. Early childhood exposure can cause increased risk of sleep disturbances and excessive daytime drowsiness. For fetuses, it can cause behavior and intelligence problems. Short-term exposures include headache, irritability, and memory loss. Prolonged exposures include depression, nausea, distractedness, high blood pressure, heart disease, kidney disease, and reduced fertility. According to a Pew assessment published in August of 2017, removing leaded drinking water service lines from the homes of children born in 2018 would protect more than 350,000 children nationally and yield a $2.7 billion in future benefits, or about a $1.33 increase per dollar invested. Eradicating lead paint hazards from homes of older children from low-income families would provide a $3.5 billion in future benefits, or approximately $1.39 per dollar invested. Ensuring that contractors comply with the Environmental Protection Agency's rule that requires lead-safe renovations, repair, and painting practices would protect 211,000 children and provide $4.5 billion, or $3.10 per dollar invested. Providing targeted, evidence-based academic behavioral interventions to the roughly 1.8 million children with a history of lead exposure could increase their lifetime family incomes and likelihood of graduating from high school and college, and decrease their potential for teen parenthood and criminal conviction. As I walked in today, I found out there was a homicide here in Beloit involving young people. We are going crazy as a nation, and we are not making the connection to our environment and the toxins we are absorbing. You are in the position to do something. I am demanding you take action. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the public who would wish to speak tonight? Second call. Third final call. Public comment is now closed. Madam Clerk, next item on the agenda, please.
Item 6 is a consent agenda, and all items listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered at this point on the agenda.
Would any council member like any item removed from the consent agenda? If not, the consent agenda consists of items 6A through 6G. Do we have a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve.
Moved by Duncan. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Blakely. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
There are no licenses this evening, so under item 8, under ordinances, 8A is consideration of ordinance number 3708 to amend sections 5.102 sub A sub 15, the table in 6.1 sub -1 and 6.2 sub 6.4 of the zoning ordinance, Chapter 19 of the Code of General Ordinance of the City of Beloit pertaining to transitional living uses. This is second reading.
And since this is a second reading, I will only have Community Development Director Christensen up to comment if we have any questions. So with that, is there a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Moved by Duncan, second by Levy. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Item 8B is consideration of ordinance number 3711, amending the zoning district map of the City of Beloit from temporary R1B single-family residential to permanent R1B single-family residential district for the property located at 1945 Prairie Avenue. This is also second reading.
We'll go the same route here. So if, motion by Levy. Is there a second? Second by Forbeck. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Item 8C is consideration of ordinance number 3703 to create sections 13.085 and 18.02 sub 2M and to amend sections 18.02 sub 1 sub D and 18.02 sub 2 sub B for the Code of General Ordinances of the City of Beloit pertaining to electric scooters. This is first reading.
City Attorney Beth Krieger.
Thank you. This evening you have a draft ordinance for first reading that addresses the use of electric scooters and also the short-term commercial rental of electric scooters. In 2019, the Wisconsin Act 11, the governor signed a bill that basically treats electric scooters like bicycles. And if the city took no action, they could be allowed without any restrictions whatsoever. So given the history of some of the problems related to scooters and the parking and things like that with these these scooter share programs, we thought it prudent to put some regulations in place. And we did work with the first business that approached the city. It's called Bird, that will be coming to the city to make sure that these restrictions were something that a company in this arena could comply with. So they are fully supportive of the ordinance. They also wanted me to let you know that they could not be here tonight due to some commercial travel restrictions based from the company, but certainly stands ready. If you have any questions that I cannot answer, I can get back with him and then bring you a response back at the next meeting. So in a very perfunctory manner, the ordinance itself is quite lengthy. The staff report is 2 pages long. I'm going to hit some of the highlights, and if anybody has any questions in particular, please let me know. Essentially, the scooters can't operate on any roads that exceed 25 miles per hour, so they can be used on any of our city streets for the most part. Unless the city street is posted at a higher speed limit, it's considered to be 25. They can also be operated in our parks. We had some ordinance that cleaned up the motor vehicle definition within our parks, and we limit the scooter speed to 10 miles per hour on the multi-use paths within the park. So in Riverside Park, for example, they can feel free to use the multi-use path, but to limit their speed to 10 miles per hour. And most of these scooters go no more than 15 miles per hour, which is the same speed of generally a swift-moving bicycle. So we also set up a regulatory licensing system in order to keep better tabs on this project. So because it's new and we don't know exactly how this is going to go, we thought we'd start out with 2 vendors that could receive licenses and no more than 150 scooters per licensee, at least at the beginning. And then if they do show data to the city that justifies increasing that number, it would go up an additional 50. There's also a number of things that they're required to do as part of their the commercial sale of these scooters. They have to make sure that the safety regulations are made available to any of the riders. They have to notify them of where they can park those scooters. They have to be made aware that they cannot be operated on city sidewalks, that they have to be operated in the roadway. They are required to follow all of the rules of the road. With Bird in particular, you have to be 18 years of age and also have a driver's license in order to rent these scooters. There is, at least from Bird's perspective, there's $1 to unlock the scooter, and then they're charged a per-minute fee for the use of it. And then they can be used essentially from going from point A to point B, and then they can leave their scooter at point B. The business will set up a contact person, which they'll provide that information to the city, to be able to make sure that the scooters are appropriately balanced throughout the community to figure out where they're going to be most used. So we don't have any idea of how they're going to get used with the new stadium coming in and some issues maybe with parking a little bit further away, perhaps they can be used for that. But we will reevaluate this on a frequent basis just to make sure that we have the appropriate measures in place to make sure that this does not become a nuisance and becomes a benefit for the city of Beloit. The term of the license is for 1 year. They do have to provide insurance and indemnification for the city so that any actions taken on behalf of the company do protect the city during the use of these scooters. Apart from the commercial short-term rental of the scooters, there are some limitations for just the general public. If you happen to buy one of these scooters and want to use it, you need to make sure that you park it appropriately, that you use it in the appropriate place, again, not on sidewalks, on the roadways. And other than that, the one thing I did want to mention is right now, scooters can be parked in a neat and orderly manner. They can be parked on the sidewalk provided they provide at least a 5-foot area where pedestrian traffic can go through. They cannot interfere with vehicular traffic or pedestrian traffic. They have to comply with all ADA regulations. They also have to make sure they're not blocking crosswalks or the hashtag areas too for the handicap parking. So that hits some of the highlights. If you have any, there will be a companion fee resolution that will be at your next meeting that sets up the annual permit fee plus a scooter per scooter fee that will be on an annual basis, but that will be presented at your second reading of the ordinance, which is planned for 2 weeks from tonight. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that anyone would have.
Thank you, City Attorney.
Yep.
At this time, I'll take a motion first to lay this over.
I so move.
Moved by Forbeck, second by Blakely. Councilor Forbeck, you had something you wanted to add?
Well, I just want to say, I think this is really exciting. I love it. I mean, it's really aimed, let's face it, not for me, but for, my grandchildren and maybe even, even my kids. So I just love it. It shows that we're a vital, smaller city, and thanks for looking ahead and being prepared with this. I'm excited about it.
Any more discussion?
Yes. I'd just like to interject that it's good to have forward thinking on this subject, and also confirm, and I'm pretty sure after reading this, it doesn't change anything with our existing bicycle ordinance except changing some definitions, as I understand it.
Right, we're not making any changes to the bicycle usage in the city of Beloit.
So bike rentals, bicycle pass, rules, etc. Nothing changes there. It just pertains to the scooter and the scooter rental.
Right. We don't have anything related to that bicycle share type operation. So you've seen the electric scooter. This is an electric scooter example, but there's also an example of bicycles. And so we haven't been approached by any of the bicycle companies yet. So this does not apply to them. It merely just applies to electric scooters.
Yeah, one time we rented our own bicycles at the pavilion, and I don't know if we still do or not. And we had a store downtown that rented bikes, and the college has bikes now that they let people check out and ride. Anyway, I ain't going to be doing that for a while yet.
Okay, with that, is there any more discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
That motion is laid over to the next meeting.
There are no appointments this evening. That leads us to councilor activities and upcoming events.
Start with Councilor Levy today.
No report.
Okay. Councilor Blakely.
Thank you, Mr. President. Last week, I attended the NAACP's Beloit chapter meeting. Nick Damasis, the director of the Beloit Public Library, was the community speaker of the month. And I just want to mention that the organization is open to everyone, regardless of color or ethnicity. It's a very worthwhile group. Secondly, I want to put in a word for the Castle at 501 Prospect Avenue, not far from Beloit's downtown. They are a venue for events, such as weddings and entertainment, and they also do a lot for the youth of the community through an organization called the Youth Unite, which is headquartered at the Castle. They offer music lessons and music therapy, and they have anti-bullying programs. They want to hear anyone's story and show you that you are not alone. Their slogan is "Making it better for the next generation." There's an entertainment event coming up a week from Friday. It's a comedy night with Fred Klett, brother of Stephanie Klett, one of our local hardworking residents of Beloit. And all the proceeds of that go to the performer himself. So for information on that, or on the Youth Unite, or any of the other programs at the castle, go to their website, or you can call 608-362-1583. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll go with Councilor Prushel next.
Oh, well, thank you. I just wanted to say thanks to everybody for their support and everything over the last month since I had my heart surgery. And it'll be a while yet before I'm able to do much more than walk a few blocks. Everything went good. I got a good heart, they tell me, and I didn't have any disastrous heart attack. So my prognosis is good. It just takes time. I would also like to remember my old friend, Ralph Berkeley, who we met in college in 1975. And he actually knew my wife probably better than me because I quit college and she hung around there for quite a few years. They got to know each other very well. And I wish I could have danced as well as those two did at the New Year's Eve bash in 1976, 77. They looked like they'd been dancing forever together out there. Ralph did a lot of things for the city of Beloit, and the last time I saw him was last year at that forum, sitting in the place I normally sit as the moderator for our candidates forum. And just like, anyway, it's just somebody I'm going to really miss and we'll both miss. And I think Beloit was a better place thanks to Ralph. So I wanted to bring that out. And in reference to the disc golf, that's an old thing. You know, I used to do that back when I could still run and my shoulder wasn't shot. And I was with the group that Nathan got together when we took photographs and cleaned up Hilliard Park in 2001, I think it was, 2001 or 2. Then Nathan went a little further next year or two and rebuilt some of the pads and got some improvements there. Ironically, when we did that project in 2001, talking to the Parks Commission, we discovered that nobody at City Hall could remember how it got to be there. It was an interesting story, and I think as Jesse Harrell told us, that he was probably the only guy who remembered it, and even he couldn't remember exactly why they had the equipment or how it got put in Hilliard. So it was just one of those things from way back when, and it was probably in the late 70s that it was originally installed. But anyway, there's those of us who play disc golf. I still have a bunch of discs in my garage. And I will point out that our reporter friend, Austin Montgomery, is a notable disc golfer in Rockford in the area, so I'm sure he knows all about it. You guys should talk to Austin. He could probably tell you a thing or two. So that's for me now, okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Duncan?
Okay. Make sure. Is my mic on?
There it is.
Okay, great. First, I want to give my deepest sympathy and heartfelt condolences to the family of the late Ralph Berkeley. Tia Johnson was here earlier and spoke very kind words about him, and I certainly echo that. He will truly be missed in our Beloit community. Next, I'll begin with my report. I attended my first committee meeting as council representative for the Visit Beloit Board on May 26th. Visit Beloit continues to track the recovery efforts post-COVID-19 pandemic within the tourism industry. The amount of visitors coming to Beloit continues to increase each week as we head into the summer. The occupancy rate of the 767 rooms among our local lodging properties has been 52% compared to 24% from last year. Also, Visit Beloit is hosting a sports broadcasting symposium and dream job competition in 2022, which will feature 15 professional sports broadcasters, including some Beloit natives, and will offer attendees the ability to compete for a paid broadcasting position with the Beloit Snappers. Lastly, Visit Beloit has seen plenty of foot and bike traffic to their new building at 656 Pleasant Street, the former St. Paul Catholic Church and Angel Museum. Residents and visitors are encouraged to stop in and check out the building. Next, I want to say congratulations to Vice President Keys and Doug Elstrom on their new bundle of joy. They have a new baby boy, Luca Martin, who was born on May 19th, weighing 7 pounds and 4 ounces. So we are wishing mom and baby good health and a speedy recovery. Also, Councilor Prusham, you are here with us tonight, and we've missed your presence, but we want to wish you the best as you mend. So this ends my report for this evening.
Thank you. Councilor Forbeck?
No report.
Now into my report. So thank you for acknowledging Councilor Keys and Councilor Prushel, because I think, I'm not sure if 100%, but I think Vice President Keys is the first council member to give birth and have a baby while on the council. At least that's my understanding. So she's breaking barriers there. And yeah, well, and another thing too is May babies are the best. A little biased there.
I agree.
Yes. I also wanted to just congratulate the class of 2021. Just another chuckle moment here. It's been 10 years since I graduated. It feels like forever. So I feel old now that I'm seeing people that were 8 when I graduated high school walking across the stage. So yeah, finally getting to see what that feels like. But congratulations to them. I know that they'll do great and they'll make us proud. And then I just wanted to echo some of the sentiments about Ralph Berkeley. He was definitely a dedicated member of our community, and I remember I think all of us have been in a forum with him moderating. He will not accept a half answer and will ask you to elaborate if you did not give a proper response. So he was definitely very dedicated and had the best interests in mind for the city. So he will definitely be missed. And that ends my report today.
Item 11 is City Manager's presentation. 11A is the overview of the American Rescue Plan Act.
City Manager Luther.
Thank you. First and foremost, I want to express the city's deep appreciation to our legislators for the federal funding that's provided in the American Rescue Plan Act, known as ARPA. The city of Beloit is allocated to receive a total of $16 million. $8 million is currently available, and another $8 million will be available in May of 2022. Those funds must be committed by 2024. Staff's approach is to be very thoughtful and deliberate in our approach to recommending the future utilization of these funds. There is no rush, and we wish to engage the business community and others as we evaluate the most long-term, impactful uses for these funds. All funding recommendations would come before the City Council with appropriate opportunities for public participation. In summary, we are especially enthusiastic about the ability to recapture lost revenues from the impact of COVID-19, and there is potential to fund water, sewer, stormwater, and fiber optic infrastructure projects. We will begin presenting some initial options with the proposed 2022 operating and capital budgets. We also this evening have our Finance and Administrative Services Director, Eric Miller, who is going to share a few thoughts, again, from a very big picture perspective. Thank you.
Thank you, City Manager Luther, and good evening, City Council. This is an unprecedented opportunity and will most likely not be seen again in our lifetimes. As the City Manager mentioned earlier, we want to take a very measured approach to these funds and make sure that we're spending them in the most responsible way. The thing we most asked our government leaders to do is to help with lost revenue. More so than reimbursement of expenses. They listened and they responded, and which is why part of the bill includes the ability to replace lost public sector revenues. which will help strengthen and support vital public services and help retain jobs. The bill, of course, includes funds to support our urgent COVID-19 response efforts and premium pay for essential workers designated to continue to decrease the spread of the virus and bring the pandemic under control. The most enticing and potentially the most impactful of the options, of course, allows local governments to invest in water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure. This includes stormwater, as the city manager mentioned, as well, even though it's not explicitly stated in the interim final guidance that was distributed by the United States Treasury. It will allow, though, the city to make necessary improvements for clean drinking water, support vital wastewater and stormwater infrastructure, and expand access to broadband internet. New details and eligible uses of the project are coming out virtually every day. And we look forward to presenting some options later this year as we get into our CIP proposed budget. So at this point, that was just, as the city manager said, a very high-level overview of the ARPA funds, and we'd be happy to take any comments or questions at this time.
Are there any questions at this time? Councilor Forbeck.
Yes, I'm just wondering how the city council can best help staff. Will it be just better for us to try to stay educated broadly, and then we can respond when staff brings suggestions to us?
So if I may, I think that this is still relatively new. And as Eric mentioned, we are still receiving guidance on what eligible expenses may be considered. We have a general idea of what is possible, but we want to really wait and see what the final guidance is on those eligible expenses so that we can collaboratively look at what options are available and provide a menu of options. So I think we're still in the learning phase. And really, all of us are still getting our hands wrapped around exactly what is possible. And then because we have, some time before funds have to be allocated, we can be sure that we have a firm understanding of what all options are available so that the council can then make decisions about how you want to see the dedication of those funds over the next several years.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Councilor Nelson?
I was just going to ask, I think all of us on the city council have been somewhat probably daily spam or whatever you call it about what to do with your funds and do this webinar, or go check this out or go check that out. I'm just wondering, I don't know, it just seems to me there's a lot of people out there looking at opportunities to grab onto some of this, and it seems kind of strange. I just kind of ignore it because I know I'm not running the city and I'm not about to start. But I just wonder what that's like for staff and everybody to have to deal with all those pushes and pulls.
I think we all are seeing some of those chain messages that are being sent from a variety of sources. Certainly, we can understand the interest. Part of the reason why it makes sense for us to be perhaps a little more measured in our timing is construction prices right now are the highest I've seen in, probably the last decade. We are seeing so much demand that contractors and materials can't keep pace. So there is, I think, many good reasons to really take our time, to not rush through any deliberations or process, and be sure that the community is supportive as well of the projects we think will have the greatest impact moving forward. So particularly when we talk about those infrastructure projects, the Public Works Director can certainly attest, and we also have the Director of Water Services here, and his division is likely to be significantly impacted potentially by these funds. And right now is just a very, very expensive time to be speccing or bidding out any projects. So we'll keep that all in mind, see what may be appropriate for the remainder of this year, but certainly in approaching the 2022 budget. But Mark, in direct response to your question, I've been seeing a lot of that traffic as well, and I think my response to it has been the same as yours. So we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I was just going to put that out there for the public's knowledge too. Really, is to understand the strange nature. Like Eric said, it's a once in a lifetime thing, and it's a once in a lifetime experience to everybody to throw out their opportunity to grab onto a piece of the action. That basically, as I would say in the old days, in the 1930 movies. But it's something that and I know Eric and you and everybody there is much more measured in their responses, and we will be deliberate and go through the budget process and go through the prioritizations and everything, and it'll be really boring to watch, but it will get good results that will serve us for a long time coming.
I'll take it.
Thank you, Councilor Preschel. Councilor Duncan.
Aren't you glad I came to the meeting?
I really didn't have much to say. I just wanted to say, I know also we have our strategic planning session coming up, so I think we're doing the right thing to make sure we're utilizing those dollars in the right way. And I just want to thank you, Eric, and the staff for your continued hard work and making this look easy, because we know that it's not, but it takes all of us working together, so thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none and hearing none, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
There are no reports from boards and city officers this evening, so the last item is adjournment.
Motion to adjourn by Levy, second by Duncan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
We're now adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Mark. Good night.